Today, we're back with a special TradingView tutorial video. Because I can see from the people I interact with daily that setting up this platform isn't so straightforward. When you're a beginner, it's not easy. And even when you're more advanced and used to working with other types of platforms, getting the hang of it can be a bit tedious. So today, I want to give you a quick tutorial, but one where I'll really do everything from A to Z. So as I'm showing here, I'll simulate a platform where no tools or almost none are installed. And I'll do everything from scratch, installing assets, tools, timeframes, indicators. In short, I'll show the replay mode, show how the paper trading account works to place trades as well, so that you have an overall view of the platform. A quick note as well, this week is Black Friday, so for those with paid accounts, don't forget to renew. Maybe for the whole year, I'll put a link in the description. I've been doing it for years, I try to take full advantage of the offers. It's still a pretty expensive subscription, so take advantage of these kinds of offers. Right now, I think it's 70% off, so it's really worth it. So don't hesitate to check where you stand, maybe with your subscriptions with them, and take advantage because it's only this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's jump right into this brand new step-by-step tutorial video together. So how do you actually organize your workspace in the most effective way? Well, first, what we're going to do is carefully decide whether we want to use a white background or a black background for our workspace. This is an important choice, so take a moment to consider which one will work best for your needs. You can do that here in the profile, and you can select either dark mode or white mode. If I switch to white mode, personally, here's a little tip. If you spend a lot of hours in front of screens, white mode really hurts my eyes. I recommend using dark mode. Second, we're going to add assets. Here you can create new lists. You can create a new list. So I made one called Test for you. And by pressing the plus button, you can add any assets you want. Don't forget to click the All button to add the assets. Now what I'm going to do is add the futures indices, since I am mainly focused on futures indices. So for example, let's add the S&P 500. We'll click on the little button here to add it. Let's add the Nasdaq. Here, of course, we'll add the DAX. So for the DAX, you need to enter FDAX. There we go. And we'll add the Dow Jones, which is YM. For those who don't know, that's the futures symbol, okay? For those who want to add CFDs, you just need to type, for example, if you want to have S&P 500 as a CFD, you enter US 500 and select one of the first options that comes up. Capital.com generally works very well. Next, how do we separate things within our lists? You can click here and simply click on ADD section. By the way, I just thought of something. Maybe I'll switch to French, so that there we go, we have the same terms since I'm used to using it in English. And so here we can simply select add a section. And once that's done, you'll be able to rename it. So here I'm going to name it CFD, for example. And then I'm going to add a section here. And what should we name it? Futures. Okay? Next, you can very easily move assets around. So here I'm going to move it there. And then in the CFD section, we're going to add the DAX, for example, which will be listed as a CFD. So my advice for the DAX is that it's usually called German 40, generally GER 40. I'll give you all the names. CFD. US 30 is the Dow Jones and US 100 is the Nasdaq, for example. There you go, so now I've added everything. We can also add maybe a small Forex section afterwards. We'll rename it, we'll call it Forex. And here, honestly, nothing could be simpler. You go to the Forex section and you can pick the first currencies that interest you, all right? So that's already how you can set up your asset lists. You just have to click the button at the top right and your watch list will appear, and then you can switch from one asset to another. All right, depending on what you want to trade. Next, where we're going to go is the timeframes. I'm going to deselect them so you can see what it looks like at the start, because when you log in, you won't have anything marked as a favorite. So here, all my timeframes are deselected except for the weekly. And so it can get a bit tedious to have to go and type in 5 minutes, 15 minutes every time. So by simply clicking on weekly, you can add them one by one according to the time frames you usually use. So for me personally, here are my trading time frames. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15, 1 hour, 4 hours, daily, weekly. That way, you can switch from one time frame to another very quickly. As for indicators, I already have a lot of favorites, but it all happens here in this box. Indicators, you can add whichever indicator you want. So for example, here, let's add Bollinger. So you type in Bollinger, you can select the indicator in question, and it will appear at the top left. Once that's done, you'll be able to configure the indicator by clicking on the little gear here and going into its settings. The input settings are all the calculation parameters for the indicator. And the style settings are where you can choose the colors, thickness, etc. For example, if I want the moving average to be orange, that's done here. Don't forget that you can save the settings you've made as default settings. That way, every time I use the Bollinger Bands, they'll always be the same color and size. All right? You can remove it by clicking here. And for those who want to, you can even edit the code. Here, if I add another indicator, you can even go into the source code and edit whatever you want inside if you wish. Obviously, you need to duplicate the indicator in order to edit its code. So when it comes to tools, and for me, this is the most important part, you'll have the toolbars on the left. If every time you want to draw a trend line or something, you go there, it's going to waste a lot of your time. So I'm going to share my favorite tools with you. Let's add the trend line. Let's add the horizontal line, the rate. Next, we'll go to the second one. We'll obviously select the Fibonacci retracements and extensions. Let's go to the fourth tool. Long position, short position. You'll understand the importance of these tools. For me, these are the two most important ones. All right? So you can also use these tools for those who like volume, like VWAP, fixed range volume profile, etc. I'm not going to add them today, but just know that all your volume-based indicators are here. Next, we can add the brush and the star marker, since the star marker is what I use to draw my market structure. Let's add that, add the rectangle. So I'm intentionally going a bit faster. Feel free to pause the video if you want to have all the same favorites. It's just so we can move forward a little faster. I'm gonna add the text, the call out, and now we're good to go. So here you can see that now my toolbar appears. I can then organize them however I want. Here's what I want to do. So what I want to show you first is how to set up a tool so you don't have to redo the same thing every time. For example, my Fibonacci, see here. At first, it won't look like this. This is one of my personal settings that I made. At first, your Fibonacci will look like this. So you won't have any percentages. It will be full of colors and so on. How do you change it? You right click on the indicator when you place it, go to settings, and there you can configure everything yourself. So for example, if I want to remove a lot of levels, I'll just leave the golden zone 50 to 61.8, give it a color, let's say yellow. All right, you can see here it's changing. So a little tip here, if you want only the golden zone to be yellow, set it to 61.8. Otherwise, everything will turn yellow. So here, let's say we want this display. I don't know, we can set it to white. How do I save it? So here you can set it as a percentage, for example, and put it on the right. You see, you can really configure everything. You go here to the little arrow and select Save As. And here, let's call it, I don't know, Test, for example. Save, and that's it. And now every single time I go ahead and draw a Fibonacci, it will always have exactly the same format as before. So that's my setup for this process. Generally speaking, when it comes to the different formats, this is the specific visual style that I use just for your reference. So it's clear, we have the percentages and I don't have to redo it every time. That's how it works. And you can do this for everything, even for rectangles. For example, as you can see here, I have a lot of setups, different rectangles. So once you've set them up, for example here, if I want to edit this rectangle and do something special, I'll just put, I don't know, for example, test. That way you'll have an example. We'll click here, save as, I'll call it test, and we'll save it. And the next time I want to draw a rectangle, so even if I want to, for example, let's say I'm doing something completely different, there you go. I'm on a rectangle like this. I just have to select my rectangle, click here and look for my test format. And it will go back exactly to how we set it up. This is super convenient because when you start doing a lot of analyses, it will be handy to immediately say if it's an imbalance or to instantly identify if it's a supply zone, a golden zone, etc. You'll then set your colors and you'll gradually become accustomed to them. And of course, you'll also have text zones that will be helpful and useful. For example, with the callout tool, you can mark liquidity grabs and add all sorts of things. This will save you a huge amount of time. So pre-configure your tools, the rectangles, the trend lines. In my opinion, it's super important for your comfort, quite simply. Now that we've talked about that, let's use the replay mode a little bit. For those who have just gotten their paid account, how does it work? The replay mode is actually this little box here. It simply allows you to go back to any point you want on the chart and replay what happened. So a little tip, if you want to go back in time, instead of doing it manually like this, click on the little icon here and go, for example, I don't know, let's go to October 27th, go to A, and that's it. I'm at October 27th now, and you can even choose the time. By the way, here I can click on the replay button. Once that's done, I can experience it. So either you press the play button, set it to a reasonable speed, and it will move forward on its own. Okay, so you can simulate a trade by saying, all right, I would have entered here, I would have set my stop there, etc. Or you can move forward candle by candle, that's up to you, and simulate your trades. So that's great for being able to relive the sessions. If you want to exit here, you can actually buy and sell right here. So you can really simulate your order. And then set the TP, set the SL, and that way see if you were right or not. Next, you can close the trade and return to the present. And here I have a problem that you will probably all encounter. Since I was back testing, I'm lost on my chart. A little tip, double click on the scale and it will bring you back here to the present. Another big problem I see very often is a chart like this. At first, and here you don't really know how to zoom in. So what do? Actually, if you're lost, just double click and it will reset the scale. That's very important. You double click on this scale here. And then you can adjust the scale up and down here and also the time scale. All right, that's how you do it. And you can also use the scroll wheel. If you're using a mouse, it's that simple. To zoom out and set it like this, okay. But the best technique is, in any case, to double click. Clicking here resets the scale. And then you can use the scroll wheel to zoom out or zoom in. If you're very, very far in the chart and want to return to the present, there's this little icon that appears. You can click on it and it brings you back. To go back to the present, I double click and then I can zoom in if I want, simply to return to today's price. As for the trades, how do we do it? Well, you can click on the trading panel button. You can either connect your broker or simply go to paper trading. Here, you click on connect and you create an account with whatever balance you want. On this account, there's 20,000, but it doesn't matter. You could actually put whatever amount you want. So here you can create a new account. We'll call it the test account. We'll set it to $100,000 and create it. And there you go, I have a $100,000 account. So now, how does it work? You'll be able to place your trades by clicking here on trade. Choose whether you want it to be a market order or a limit order. So here, we're going to do an example of a market order. I'm simply going to buy one lot on the Dow Jones. So here, we'll be at $1 per point. Once that's done, your order will be opened here. And by hovering your mouse over it, the take profit and stop loss buttons will appear. You just need to set the take profit wherever you want it. And normally, in your version of TradingView, you'll see a modify button appear. You'll need to click on it. I don't remember why, but for me, it doesn't show up. And my stop loss is here. Okay? Again, for you, there will be a modify button. If you want to close the position, you do it here. If you want to move the stop loss or the TP at any time, that's possible. And if you want to close the position, you just need to click on the cross and it will possibly be done as soon as you have more than one unit. On the other hand, you'll be able to start making partial closes. If I have 2 units, I could decide, for example, to close 50% of the profits. So once that's done, of course, you'll find the P&L in the account history. So here we've made a profit $2.80 and the history, which you can easily export in Excel format. If I'm not mistaken, you go to export data and you can export it however you like in CSV format. You can of course connect your brokers, and that's what I do myself. You can also connect brokers like Tradovate, which are available on TOPSTEP. This allows you to execute all your trades on, for those who use prop firms, on TradingView. That's really what I generally recommend to my trainees because it lets you centralize everything on TradingView. And you no longer have the problem of having your account, whether personal or with a prop firm, on the side and doing your analysis on another broker. Here, you do everything on TradingView, and since the futures markets are available, it's super easy. Personally, that's really what I recommend to you. And being able to practice in demo mode and use the replay feature is necessary anyway to get the hang of it. So how do you set up your workspace? You just need to go there and rename it. For example, here we'll rename it Test for today. You save, and every time you make a change, there will be an automatic save anyway, which you can also disable if you want. Personally, I advise against disabling it, that way you won't lose your analyses. One last little point that I find interesting is the alerts. I have quite a few alerts myself. How do you do it? You click on the plus sign here, and you'll be able to choose quite a few options. So, for example, if here I want to be notified whenever my Dow Jones crosses the 36,000 mark, I can tell it that every time it breaks through 36,000, I want to know, and I'll set it up. For example, buy Dow Jones. And then, when you go to notifications, you can choose whether you want a sound, an SMS, or an email. Personally, I like the pop-up on TradingView. You create it, and the alert will automatically be active. Alright? You can pause it or you can delete it. You can also use this with tools. What I often do is place a horizontal ray, for example here, and then I click on the alert there, and I'll say, for example, breakout. That way I immediately know, boom, I create it. When it goes off, letting me know there's a breakout, I get it on my phone. And you can simply activate trades much more easily without having to be in front of the screen all the time. You can also set alerts on strategies, for example, or on indicators. For example, let's add the Bollinger indicator. I add it. We'll click here and there. Instead of price, you'll be able to choose Bollinger Band. And I can say, for example, when the Dow Jones crosses the lower Bollinger Band, I want to be notified. There we go. And here, I'll set it to Bollinger Low. And that's it, we'll be notified as soon as we cross the lower band on the 15-minute chart. Alright? That's a quick overview of alerts. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. Of course, there are other things to show, but I think this gives you a non-exhaustive overview. Already some very important elements to build your working framework on TradingView. It's really a tool that I find excellent. At first, even if you have a free account, you'll have access to a lot of indicators. You'll be able to do quality analysis. You can use the demo account to place your orders. And for all those who are already experienced traders, the paid version still seems important to have, because you can unlock quite a few features. In any case, I hope this video will help you, that it will allow you to save a bit of time setting up this platform. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.